Hey kids, what's happening? We were down here in the original man cave the other day, and I was going through some stuff, and I found this little treasure down here. Look at this. A whole pile of ginseng roots. Yeah, back in the days, I used to go hunting for ginseng. This is a typical root. Now these are dried very well. They're probably, carrot-like, but they're probably double this size when you find them, maybe a little more. This one is kind of interesting. It has some different nodes to it. What's the big deal about this stuff? Well, it's expensive. I mean, if you were to buy it. Now this is natural Ohio grown ginseng, wild ginseng. So it has a very high price. In fact, when I dug this, let's see, it was probably 2000, maybe 98, something like that. And it was going for $500 a pound. So I was able to make some pretty good cash, by hunting this stuff. This is all I have left from those days. Let me show you a little bit about this thing here. So this part here is the actual root, or the carrot part, and then it has these long dangly stems, which most of them have broke off. Here's a piece, but these, might have been connected onto there. So when you collect them, they want all of that. Now these have been scrubbed and cleaned, but looks like this was the original tuber right here. And then you see this thing that's kind of lumpy that goes up, that's called the rhizome. And what you do is you can see like every little nodule back and forth. They kind of go back and forth, back and forth. And that's where a stem has broken off each year. So you count those, and you can tell how old this thing is. Let me see if I can do a quick count on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. This is somewhere around 25-year-old ginseng root right here, which has a lot of value, on the market. I think in the year 2015, the price for this stuff was up to over $1,000 a pound. So you could really make some serious cash with this stuff. What am I going to do with it? I don't know. I can grind it up, and it's supposed to be good for your heart, good for your health. I don't know. It's just one of those medicinal herbs that there's no real solid facts on it, but it's been used by the native Indians all the way up through today, and still very, very well prized today. Now you might ask yourself, why don't I still hunt ginseng today? There's a few reasons. For one, it's a lot of work. And here in Northeast Ohio, it's not easy to find around here. It grows around here, but it's not easy to find. It likes to grow only in certain environments. So pretty much going to find it in like old growth woods, large old trees, and usually in more mountainous, hillier areas like down southern Ohio. When you get into West Virginia, Tennessee, and things like that, that's where it's really proliferant. Not so much around here. So in the time that I was actually going out and hunting this stuff, I would put a lot of effort into spending a lot of time just hiking through the woods. Now you got to remember, you cannot pick this stuff in any parks, whether it be national park, state park, county park. You can't pick any plants. It's illegal. So you'd have to go to public lands or private properties to find this stuff. So that can be pretty exhausting too, you know, a lot of travel time. And then once you get out and start hiking through the woods, you're not on a trail, you're just bushwhacking. And that's kind of how you have to go to find this stuff. So it wasn't easy to find either. So, you know, I've kind of, you know, it's a lot of work. I mean, anything you do, you got to work for. You nothing comes free. But, you know, it just seemed like a real plausible way to earn some extra cash real quick. The, the, the other thing about it, there's a lot of federal laws and rules that go with hunting the ginseng. So you have to be careful. You have to know those rules. It's only going to be able to be harvested from about the middle of August through about the middle of September, because about the middle of September the plant just kind of shrivels up, dies, melts into the ground, and you can't even see it anymore. So it's just maybe about a 3-4 week window there where you can actually hunt this stuff and try to find it. I saved this for many years, this chart here. It shows the root, it shows what the plant looks like there, basically talks about it. And this was starting at $160 a pound. And I don't know when that was, but the price, you know, every year it kind of went up and down. But for a while there, when I was hunting, we got $500 a pound, so it was doing pretty good. It's hardly the weather for hunting ginseng right now. See, we got a skiff of snow on the ground. It's cold out. But anyway, I thought I'd tell you a story or two about my experiences during that time when I was out collecting ginseng. Now, I worked with a guy that was pretty well versed in the plants of the Ohio forests. So, you know, as we were out doing trail work or something, he often taught me how to identify these plants. And I was able to really get a pretty good knowledge of a lot of the Ohio fauna, or the growth, the undergrowth, and what those plants were, and how they were used by the Native Americans for medicinal purposes, among other things. You know, some of them were healing drugs, some of them would boost your metabolism, depending on what you needed them for. But I found it very interesting. And then he showed me this ginseng plant and told me, you know, that he collected it, and told me some ideas of where I might be able to find it. But here's the thing, it's like gold. It's like the days of the old gold rush. Because of its value, you don't tell anybody where it is. So the information he was giving me was very vague, and it wasn't very productive, and I had to learn on my own where I could find it and the best opportunities. Well, one day he told me, he said, "Hey, I was out riding my mountain bike, and I had to pee, and I pulled up this old gas well road I was on a county road, and I saw this gas well lane, and I rode my bike up there, and I parked my bike, and I stepped into the woods to take a leak." And he says, I was standing there, and I started looking around, and he said, everywhere I could see was ginseng. He said it was all in these woods along this gas well there. Now, he said it's probably private property, but it doesn't look like anybody's been there for a long, long time. It's pretty abandoned. So he said, I'm going to go back there and see what I can gather. And I thought maybe you'd like to join me. You know, my eyes lit up and I was elated. I said, wow, I'm honored. I would be glad to. So after work one day, we took a drive and we found this gas well lane, and we pulled in there and parked and stepped into the woods. And sure enough, I mean, it was like, as far as you could see, there was ginseng plants. Now, the rule or the laws are that you can only pluck the plants that are older than 5 years old. And so how do you know that? Well, there's ways you can tell by looking at the plant right away. You can get a general idea of how old the plant is. It has one stem that comes up and then it breaks into 2 or 3 stems. Well, if it only has 2 stems with leaf fronds on it, it's not old enough. So you have to look for the plants that have the 3 stems coming up with 3 leaf fronds on them. And they were everywhere. So he said, well, you go over there, I'll go over here. We won't get in each other's way, and there's plenty for everyone. I don't know, we probably stayed there for about an hour and collected, I don't know how, I had like 2 of those plastic Walmart bags full of raw roots. And took them home, cleaned them all up, scrubbed them with a toothbrush, got all the dirt off of them, and then laid them out on newspapers to dry for a couple weeks. And so it was probably like a week later, and my buddy said, hey, you want to go back to that place and collect some more? Because that was like a honeypot. He said, there's a lot there. And I said, sure. So we went back there, and we were shocked when we got there. We walked into the woods, and there was nothing left. You could see holes dug everywhere. And we didn't leave holes. We covered everything back up, so it was like no trace, But somebody had been there and just dug up everything. Now, they didn't even save the young plants with the 2 stems. They took everything. There was nothing. There was no little plants there. And I don't know, I would think they'd be able to age them when you take them in to sell them, but I don't, unless you hide them with the other roots. Maybe that's how they did it. I don't know, but they wiped everything. They must have spent hours there digging. So we were kind of discouraged. We went back shaking our heads. And then it was like maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later, one of our coworkers admitted that he was the one that did it. Apparently, my buddy had mentioned this to him, and this guy was able to actually track it down, find where the place was, and he went in there and cleaned it out. And we were pretty irritated with him, but he was pretty proud, and he didn't seem to care one bit. But he ended up getting a pretty good handful of cash for everything that he collected there. And illegally, too, not even following the rules of ginseng hunting. So that was a little depressing. After that, though, I wouldn't say that it's just a very time-consuming hobby, and then there's a short window that you can do it in, so, you have to get on it, and you have to spend a lot of time out there tromping through the woods. And it just got to be to the point where, is this really worth it for me? And I decided, I wasn't going to do it anymore. Well, I made a pretty good pocket full of money. I mean, the roots that I had collected there that one day, those 2 shopping bags full, after they were dried, they came to maybe just a little over a pound, because they're light as a feather once they dry. So you need a pretty good pile of them. And, I was able to make some extra side cash, so I was happy with that. But I did save some of those that, I have back there in the old man cave. Don't know what I'm ever going to do with them. They were the oldest plants that I had. I think they're so brittle now, maybe some of the rhizomes have broken off, but I thought I had some that were almost 50-year-old plants. And the older they are, the more value they have, the more potency they have. So the big market is in China. Now, what I hear now that people are growing it in like Wisconsin, and they have farms where they grow it, but the value is minimal. It's like $10 a pound because it doesn't have the potency that wild ginseng has. Now, I don't know why. It's just a God-given fact that if it grows in the wild, it's a lot different than something that's, grown on a farm. Anyway, that's the story for today. The great ginseng hunter that I used to be, tromping through the woods, spending hours and hours and hours out there exploring different areas where I could. And on a lot of days I'd come up empty-handed, but every once in a while I'd come upon a honey pot there, and I'd be like, "Woohoo! Look at, I found it," and be able to collect enough until I could get out again in a day or two. So that's the story for today. Thanks for listening. A little chilly today. It's chilly in here. I got the heater on in here, but it's still, not exactly warm. It just kind of takes the chill off things. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time out here today, but thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're interested in more of that, I think there's some series available. I think you can actually find them on YouTube even. What's it called? The Green Gold or something like that, where these guys are down in like Tennessee and West Virginia, and it's a dog-eat-dog thing. They get real serious about it, and I'm sure people have, there's probably stories of people that have lost their lives over it because there's money involved. Whenever there's money involved, there's greed involved, and things happen, and people get ripped off, and things don't always go that great. Probably not the best hobby to get into here in Northeast Ohio. If you live down south in the southern states, you're going to do much better with it. But just make sure you research the laws first, because a lot of people end up in jail from this when they don't do it correctly. All right, cats, thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Until next time, we'll catch you later.